Let's not pretend this story starts anywhere except where the blood first hit the asphalt. October 5, 2025. Mandalika, Indonesia. Marc Marquez, seven-time world champion, a man who had clawed himself out of surgical darkness in career obituaries, who had just won 11 of the first 16 rounds, who had already been crowned champion at Misano, gets obliterated from behind on the opening lap by Marco Bezzecchi, 1 week after sealing the title. 1 week. The universe doesn't do irony, it does surgery without anesthesia. The impact fractures Marquez's coracoid process and shreds ligaments in his right shoulder. The same right shoulder that has been shattered, pinned, rebuilt, operated on so many times that he no longer knows what his own ceiling looks like anymore. The man who hit him, Marco Bezzecchi. And now in 2026, Bezzecchi is sitting at the top of the championship table, drinking champagne, leading the MotoGP world. You cannot write fiction this dark, it would be rejected for being unrealistic. Here, what Bezzecchi has built in 2026, and it's not nothing. 5 consecutive Grand Prix victories heading into the Spanish round at Jerez. 5 MotoGP wins in a row puts Bezzecchi in a room with Valentino Rossi and Giacomo Agostini, the only Italians to ever do it. He's also the first rider to win the opening 3 GPs of a season since Marquez himself in 2014. He set a new record for most consecutive laps led, 121, breaking Jorge Lorenzo's 2015 benchmark. He has collected every single Sunday point available across the first 3 rounds, 75 out of 75. On Sundays, Bezzecchi has been a machine, a freight train wrapped in Italian red, unstoppable and nearly boring in his precision. Aprilia, meanwhile, has 4 bikes in the top 6 at Jerez. They lead all 3 world championships. Massimo Rivola, the CEO, the man in the suit behind the throne, couldn't contain himself after the Spanish race. "We're there," he told Sky Italy. "Come on, we're there." And then, cold as winter asphalt, he let the quiet part slip out loud. Aprilia is benefiting from the fact that Marc Marquez is clearly not in top form. That's a CEO on camera admitting that his championship is partially gift-wrapped by a broken man's shoulder. You have to respect the honesty, you also have to recognize what it means. So what does a broken Marc Marquez actually look like? Jorge Lorenzo, 5 world titles, no reason to sugarcoat anything, went on record and delivered an autopsy while the patient is still breathing. Lorenzo is certain that Marquez's difficulties with Ducati in 2026 stem directly from that shoulder injury. The key word, break. Marquez cannot break the way he once did. For a man whose entire riding identity was built on late, savage, terrifying braking, on outbreaking logic itself, that sentence is a death sentence for a title defense. Ramon Forcada, former crew chief to Lorenzo and 3-time world champion, went even deeper. "We haven't really seen Marc in his element this year," he said. "We haven't seen the real Marc Marquez on the 2026 motorcycle." For me, it's a problem related to the injury, which you can also see in his body language. Body language. When the Paddock can read the pain in how a man walks to his pit box, the injury is past hiding. Marquez himself admitted that losing body temperature while waiting on the grid means effectively having to warm up a second time, and that in the early laps he is struggling with the pain. 3 laps of agony every Sunday. 3 laps where a healthy Marquez would be hunting, and this version is just trying to survive the inflammation. At the season opener, he kept saying he doesn't know when he will reach 100% fitness, because he no longer knows what his new peak level will be. Sit with that for a moment. The greatest closer in MotoGP history, the man who crashed, remounted, and nearly won at Aragon, doesn't know his own ceiling anymore. That's not a racing problem, that's existential damage. Now here where the story turns brutal, the kind of brutal that statisticians and barstool debaters love. What if Marc Marquez had never been hit? Would Aprilia and Bezzecchi really be leading? Let's dismantle this with cold math and no mercy. After 4 rounds in 2026, Marquez sits 5th in the standings with 57 points, 44 points adrift of Bezzecchi. He has 2 sprint victories, 0 Sunday podiums. His best Sunday finish is 4th. Now flip the tape. A healthy Marc Marquez, the one who won 11 of 16 races in 2025, the one leading comfortably before Indonesia, doesn't just add Sunday podiums, he dominates them. In 2025, he didn't just score points, he detonated races. Even a conservative healthy Marquez, call it 3 Sunday wins and 2 more podiums across 4 rounds, puts him somewhere north of 100 points. That's championship lead territory, not 5th place. Bezzecchi himself has dropped approximately 21 points in sprint crashes alone, crashing out of Thailand and Austin. His Saturday weakness is real and documented. He admits it. Aprilia admits it. A healthy, locked-in Marquez doesn't hand those sprint wins to anyone without a war. He takes them because that's what that man does when his body cooperates. Fabio Di Giannantonio, Franco Morbidelli, and Alex Marquez have already proven that the Ducati GP26 is still a very capable package. The bike is not the problem. Di Giannantonio has finished in the top 6 every single Sunday. Alex Marquez won at Jerez, the race that ended Bezzecchi's win streak in stunning fashion. If two satellite Ducati riders are extracting that kind of result from the machinery, what does a fully operational Marc Marquez do with the factory bike and full Ducati engineering at his disposal? Rivola himself said Aprilia have not fought the real Marquez yet. That's the CEO of the leading manufacturer acknowledging mid-championship that the man in their rearview is a ghost of himself. You don't say that if you're confident your lead is real. You say it because somewhere in the back of your mind, you know the accounting is about to come due. None of this is to say Bezzecchi is fake. Let's be precise. Bezzecchi is a genuine world-class talent. The records he's broken are real. The Sunday domination has been absolute. He became just the third rider in the modern era to win 5 successive Grands Prix. You don't fake that, you don't borrow that from a man's shoulder. The speed is real. But here is the distinction between a champion and a man who wins in a power vacuum. When the vacuum closes, the test is what remains. When Jerez came, Bezzecchi didn't lead a single lap in the Grand Prix. His victory streak was ended by Alex Marquez, a satellite rider. The first real sustained pressure and the wheels wobbled. That's not condemnation, it's information. The season is 22 rounds long. The next few circuits will put further strain on the right side of Marquez's body, but they'll also test whether Bezzecchi can sustain Sunday perfection when the championship pressure compounds, and every team on the grid has studied his data from those 5 wins. The verdict is uncomfortable for everyone who likes clean stories. Aprilia's dominance is real, and it is also contingent on the injury of their main rival, a rival that Bezzecchi himself put on the operating table in Indonesia. That is not an accusation. The Mandalika incident was racing, but racing doesn't care about moral cleanliness. The facts are the facts. Good enough Marc Marquez is not what MotoGP or Ducati truly needs, but a fully healed Marc Marquez, who after Jerez was already showing pole position pace in the wet, who pulled off a crash-to-victory sprint ride on Saturday, who told his engineers to stop discussing his fitness because he's done explaining himself, is still in this fight. The speed you have, you never lose. His words, and the man has never lied about his speed. Aprilia is leading a championship. Bezzecchi has broken records, Rivola is celebrating, all of that is real. And somewhere in that Ducati garage, a man with a damaged shoulder 44 points back is remembering exactly who put him there. And he's getting angrier about it with every lap. The season has 18 rounds left, the blood hasn't finished flowing.